session. बोलिए प्रभु.
The greatly powerful Dhruv Maharaj had another wife named Ila, who was the daughter of the demigod Vayu. By her he begot a son named Utkala and a very beautiful daughter.
Yes, next Prabhuji.
Dhruv Maharaj's younger brother Uttama, who was still unmarried, once went on a hunting excursion and was killed by a powerful yaksha in the Himalaya mountain. Along with him, his mother Suruchi also followed the path of her son. She died.
Yeah. Next.
When Dhruv Maharaj heard of the killing of his brother Uttama by the yakshas in the Himalaya mountains, being overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, he got on his chariot and went out for victory over the city of the Yaksha, Alakapuri.
Yeah, in the verse it says, Dhruvo Bhatruvadham Shutva, after hearing the killing of his brother, Kopa Amarsha Shucharpita. So he was filled with Kopa, anger, Amarsha, vengeance, and Shucha, lamentation. Okay. So Prabhupada very nicely explaining purport.
Dhruv Maharaj becoming angry, overwhelmed with grief and envious of the enemies was not incompatible with his position as a great devotee. It is a misunderstanding that a devotee should not be angry, envious or overwhelmed with high lamentation. Dhruv Maharaj was the king, and when his brother was unceremoniously killed, it was his duty to take revenge against the Yaksha from the Himalayas.
Yes. Devotional service is practical. बाहर के लोग बोले अरे भक्त होके गुस्सा करते हो भक्त लोग क्या चिल्ला रहे हो ना. तो ऐसा नहीं है. प्रभुपाद जब वापस आए थे तो सरदार जी ने टैक्सी वाले ने 40 रुपये प्रभुपाद से ले लिए, वापस नहीं किए. प्रभुपाद वाज ट्राइंग टू चीट प्रभुपाद. सो प्रभुपाद ने बहुत लड़ाई की उससे. तो लेकिन लोग हमारा फ़ायदा उठाते हैं, भक्त होकर ऐसी बात करते हो. तो इट्स नेचुरल कि जब गुस्सा करना है. ही वॉज lamenting, he was having a revengeful attitude, and he was very angry on the yakshas. Okay. Next, padhiye.
Dhruv Maharaj went to the northern direction of the Himalayan range. In a valley, he saw a city full of ghostly persons who were followers of Lord Shiva.
Purport.
In this verse, it is stated that the Yakshas are more or less devotees of Lord Shiva. By this indication, the Yakshas may be taken to be the Himalayan tribes like the Tibetans.
Okay. Next translation.
Maitre continued, My dear Vidura, as soon as Dhruva Maharaj reached Alkapuri, he immediately blew his conch shell, and the sound reverberated throughout the entire sky and in every direction. The wives of the Yakshas became very much frightened. From their eyes it was apparent that they were full of anxiety. O hero Vidura, the greatly powerful heroes of the Yakshas, unable to tolerate the resounding vibration of the conch shell of Dhruv Maharaj, came forth from their city with weapons and attacked Dhruva. Dhruva Maharaj, who was a great charioteer and certainly a great bowman also, immediately began to kill them by simultaneously discharging arrows 3 at a time.
Yeah.
When the heroes of the Yakshas saw that all their heads were being thus threatened by Dhruv Maharaj, they could very easily understand their awkward position, and they concluded that they would certainly be defeated. But as heroes, they lauded the action of Dhruva.
Yeah, that is a Kshatriya spirit. Next.
This spirit, so translation,
No. Translation.
just like serpents, who cannot tolerate being trampled upon by anyone's feet, the Yakshas, being intolerant of the wonderful prowess of Dhruv Maharaj, threw twice as many arrows, 6 from each of their soldiers, and thus they very valiantly exhibited their prowess.
Next.
Jaksa's soldiers were 1,30,000 strong, all greatly angry and all desiring to defeat the wonderful activities of Dhruva Maharaj. With full strength they showered upon Maharaj Dhruva along with his chariot and charioteer. Various types of feathers, arrows, varigas, iron, bludgeons, instruments, swords, rasa, sulas, tridents, and paras, lances, and shaktis, piques, aristis, spears, and Dushundi weapons.
Okay. So 1,30,000. One against 1,30,000 into 6,80,000 arrows on Dhruv Maharaj simultaneously. No? Ottanpadi satada shastra varshena bhurina na eva drishyata channam asarena yathagiri.
Dhruva Maharaj was completely covered by an incessant shower of weapons, just as a mountain is covered by incessant rainfall.
Perfect.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out in his connection that although Dhruva Maharaj was covered by the incessant arrows of the enemy, this does not mean that he come in the battle. The example of a mountain peak being covered by incessant rain is just suitable for when a mountain is covered by incessant rain. All dirty things are washed from the body of the mountain. Similarly, incessant shower of the arrows from the enemy gave Dhruva Maharaj new vigor to defeat them. In other words, whatever incompetency he might have had was washed away.
Okay, next.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
Prabhuji, this Kshatriya spirit, fight 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Is it like Dhruv Maharaj challenged all of them?
Yeah, he
So
shall
they all began to
on
fight.
the fight. Yes, yes. And they thought he was very special hero also. 1,30,000. Yes, bro.
All the Siddhas from the higher planetary system were observing the fight from the sky, and when they saw that Dhruva Maharaj had been covered by the incessant arrows of the enemy, they rode tumultuously. The grandson of Manu, Dhruva, is now lost. They cried that Dhruva Maharaj was just like the sun, and that now he had set within the ocean of Jaksas.
Yeah. So so here Dhruva Maharaj is called as Manav. That is, he was the grandson of Manu. Okay. So second paragraph.
The denizens of the planets Siddhaloka, where the residents can fly in the sky without airplanes, were anxious about Dhruva Maharaj's welfare in the battlefield. So Rupa Goswami says, therefore, that not only is a devotee well protected by the Supreme Lord, but all the demigods, even the ordinary men, are anxious for his security and safety. The comparison given here that Dhruva Maharaj appeared to march in the ocean of the Jaksas is also significant. When the sun sets on the horizon, it appears that the sun drowns in the ocean, but factually the sun has no difficulty. Similarly, although Dhruva appeared to drown in the ocean of Jaksas, he had no difficulty. As the sun rises again in due course at the end of night, so Dhruva Maharaj, although he might have been in difficulty, because after all it was a fight, and in any fighting activities there are reverses, that did not mean that he was defeated.
Yes. Next.
The Yakshas, being temporarily victorious, exclaimed that they had conquered Dhruva Maharaj. But in the meantime, Dhruva's chariot suddenly appeared, just as the sun suddenly appears from within foggy mist.
Yeah. So this comparison is given. First comparison, the rains on the mountain. What that indicated? That all Dhruva Maharaj's incompetency, whatever it was washed away. Second is sun setting in the ocean. So sun never sets, it again comes back. Now sun removing the all fog. Right. Next.
Dhruv Maharaj's bow and arrows twanged and hissed, causing lamentation in the hearts of his enemies. He began to shoot incessant arrows, shattering all their different weapons, just as the blasting wind scatters the assembled clouds in the sky.
Yes.
The sharp arrows released from the bow of Dhruv Maharaj pierced the shields and bodies of the enemy, like the thunderbolts released by the King of Heaven, which dismantled the bodies of the mountains.
Yes.
The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidur, the heads of those who were cut to pieces by the arrows of Dhruv Maharaj were decorated very beautifully with earrings and turbans. The legs of their bodies were as beautiful as golden palm trees. Their arms were decorated with golden bracelets and armlets, and on their heads there were very valuable helmets bedecked with gold. All these ornaments lying on that battlefield were very attractive and could bewilder the mind of a hero.
Purport.
It appears that in those days, soldiers used to go to the battlefield highly decorated with golden ornaments and with helmets and turbans. And when they were dead, the booty was taken by the enemy party. Their falling dead in battle with their many golden ornamental dresses was certainly a lucrative opportunity for the heroes of the battle.
Okay, next.
The remaining yakshas, who somehow or other were not killed, had their limbs cut to pieces by the arrows of the great warrior Dhruv Maharaj. Thus they began to flee, just as elephants flee when defeated by a lion.
Yeah. Next. Padima.
Dhruv Maharaj, the best of human beings, observed that in that great battlefield, not one of the opposing soldier was left standing with proper weapon. He then desired to see the city of Alkapuri, but he thought to himself, no one knows the plans of the mystic Yakshas.
Yeah.
In the meantime, while Dhruv Maharaj, doubtful of his mystic enemies, was talking with his charioteer, they heard a tremendous sound as if the whole ocean were there, and they found that from the sky a great dust storm was coming over them from all directions.
Yeah. Next.
Within a moment, the whole sky was overcast with a dense cloud, and severe thundering was heard. There was a glittering electric lightning and severe rainfall.
Yes.
My dear faultless Vidura, in that rainfall there was blood, mucus, pus, stool, urine and marrow falling heavily before Dhruv Maharaj, and there were trunks of bodies falling from the sky. Next, a great mountain was visible in the sky, and from all directions hailstones fell along with lances, club, sword, iron, blood, iron, and great piece of stone. Dhruv Maharaj also saw many big serpents with angry eyes, vomiting forth fire and coming to devour him, along with group of made elephants, lions and tigers.
Yes. Continue. Next, Padima.
Then, as if it were the time of the dissolution of the whole world, the fierce sea with forming waves and great roaring sound came forward before him. The demoniacs are by nature very heinous, and by their demonic power of illusion, they can create many strange phenomena to frighten one who is less intelligent. When the great sages heard that Dhruv Maharaj was overpowered by illusory mystic tricks of the demons, they immediately assembled to offer him auspicious encouragement.
Because it was in the Himalayas, maybe the sages must also be there. So the sages also came. Manyu uvacha uttanapada bhagavanstam sharanghrava devakshinotiva avanat Hatari haro vipaksham yannamadheyam abhidhaya nishamya chadha loko anjasa tarati dustaram angamrityum.
All the sages said, Dear Dhruva, O son of King Uttanpad, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Sharang
Sharang
Dhanva, who relieves the distress of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy names of the Lord, many men can be fully protected from the fire's death without difficulty. Thus, a devotee is saved.
Yes. So sages came. Okay. Purport.
The great rishis approached Dhruv Maharaj at a time when his mind was very perplexed due to the magical feats exhibited by the yakshas. A devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his inspiration only, the sages came to encourage Dhruv Maharaj and assure him that there was no danger because he was a soul fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. By the grace of the Lord, if a devotee at a time of death can simply chant his holy name, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Simply by chanting this Mahamantra, he immediately surpasses the great ocean of the material sky and enters the spiritual sky. He never has to come back for repetition of birth and death. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can surpass the ocean of death. So Dhruv Maharaj was certainly able to surpass the illusory magical feats of the yakshas, which for the time being disturbed his mind. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhruv Maharaj's fight with yakshas.
Yeah. So just see, Prabhupada is making a very nice point. A devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord inspired the sages to approach Dhruv Maharaj and remind him, okay, pray to Krishna, pray to Lord Narayan, he will kill your enemies. And then they glorified the holy name of the Lord. Okay. Apanna sansrityak garo yan name vishograhan tato sadyo vimuchyeta yad vibheti swayam vaham. Okay. So even if one has accidentally taken the name of the Lord, it immediately gives liberation. Yad vibheti swayam bhayam. You know, even the fear personified is fearful of the holy name. So when it can help us overcome death, what is this problem? Death is the king of all the problems. The holy name can help us to overcome death, so this is a small problem. So they reminded Dhruv Maharaj to take shelter of Lord. Okay. 11th chapter. Swayambhu Manu advises Dhruv Maharaj to stop fighting. Maitreya Vacha Nishamye Gadatam Evam Rishinam Dhanushu Dhruva Sandadhe Astaram Upsrishya Yan Narayana Nirmitam. Yeah.
Translation. Sri Maitreya said, my dear Vidura, when Dhruv Maharaj heard the encouraging words of the great sages, he performed the Achmana by touching water, and then took up his arrow made by Lord Narayana and fixed it upon his bow.
Yeah. Okay. So, purport please.
Dhruv Maharaj was given a specific arrow made by Lord Narayana himself, and he now fixed it upon his bow to finish the illusory atmosphere created by the yakshas. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Mam ev ye prapadyanti maya metam taranti. Without Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one is able to overcome the action of the illusory energy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also given us a nice weapon for this age as stated in the Bhagavatam, Sambhopanga Astra. In this age, the Narayana Astra or the weapon to drive away Maya is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra in pursuance of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, such as Advaita Prabhu, Nityanand, Gadadhar and Srivas.
Jai Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Also in Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, Jad Bharat advises Rahugana, what is the main weapon to overcome mind? He says, Guru Harir Charana Upasanastro. Worshipping of the lotus feet of Guru and Hari, that is the weapon by which we can tackle the mind. Okay. So how to worship their lotus feet? That is following their instructions. And their instruction is always chant the holy name. So that way, this is the astra we have.
Guruji, but it is not mentioned that Vishnu Narayan has given the that arrow, bow to Dhruv Maharaj.
Yeah.
It is not mentioned.
And he had the weapon given by the Narayan, no? He had. Okay.
Prabhuji, one question. Dhruv Maharaj knew God had told him that his brother will go and kill.
Yeah.
And he also knew that because he had enmity before,
Yeah.
so that because of that result he is getting killed.
Yeah.
But still he is in this place. We see that he is very anxious, lamenting, and
And-
he is considering Yaksha as the cause of his brother's death.
Yeah.
Whereas already Krishna
It was
told him
predestined. Yeah.
that you are only your desire would be the cause.
Yeah.
So how to understand this?
Yeah. So like,
complexity?
yes, as a Kshatriya, Dhruv Maharaj was doing his duty.
Killing Yaksha duty.
Yeah, it was duty because his brother has been unnecessarily killed.
And brother of a king.
And brother of a king, so to maintain law and order, how can you kill a person unnecessarily? He was not a criminal. Why you killed him? So that was his duty to maintain the law and order. He would have gone there. But he crossed the limit. He crossed the limit. That's when in this chapter, Swambhu Manu will advise him, don't go beyond the limit. So it's a lesson for us, that we also get overwhelmed, carried away by the modes of passion. Okay. Next, Prabhuji. Sandhyamana etasmin maya guhyaka nirmita kshipram vineshura vidur klesha jnanodayo yatha. Yes.
As soon as Dhruva Maharaj joined the Narayana Astra, arrow to his bow, the illusion created by the Yakshas were immediately vanquished. Just as all material pains and the pleasures are vanquished when one becomes fully cognizant of self.
Yeah. Okay. So jnane udaye klesha. All the kleshas means illusory pains and pleasure go away when the knowledge arises, right? Knowledge of the self, knowledge of Atma. Okay. Similarly, he didn't even shoot the weapon. He was just putting it. Just by touching the Narayana Astra, all illusion was gone. This is the potency of Lord. Okay, purport please.
Krishna is like the sun and Maya, or the illusory energy of Krishna is like darkness. Darkness means absence of light. Similarly, Maya means absence of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness and the Maya are always there side by side. As soon as there is an awakening of Krishna consciousness, all the illusory pains and pleasures of material existence are vanquished. Mayam etam tarandite. Constant chanting of the Maha Mantra will keep us always aloof from the illusory energy of Maya.
Yes. Okay. Next translation please. Translation.
Hypnotized Dhruv Maharaj fixed the weapon made by Narayana Rishi onto his bow. Arrows with golden shafts and feathers like the wings of a swan flew out from it. They entered the enemy soldiers with a great hissing sound, just as peacocks enter a forest with tumultuous crowing.
Next Mataji.
Those sharp arrows dismayed the enemy soldiers, who became almost unconscious. But various yakshas on the battlefield in a rage against Dhruv Maharaj somehow or other collected their weapons and attacked. Just as serpents agitated by Garuda rushed towards Garuda with upraised hoods, all the yaksha soldiers prepared to overcome Dhruv Maharaj with their upraised weapons.
Yeah. Next.
When Dhruv Maharaj saw the yakshas coming forward, he immediately took his arrows and cut the enemies to pieces, separating their arms, legs, heads and bellies from their bodies. He delivered the yakshas to the planetary system, which is situated above the sun globe and which is attainable only by first-class brahmacharis who have never discharged their service.
Purport Mataji.
To be killed by a lord or by his devotees is auspicious for non-devotees. The yakshas were killed indiscriminately by Dhruv Maharaj, but they attained the planetary system, attaining reserved only for the brahmacharis who never discharge their sin. As the impersonalist jnanis or the demons killed by the Lord attain Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, person killed by a devotee of the Lord also attain Satyaloka. To reach the Satyaloka planetary system described here, one has to be elevated above the sun globe. Killing, therefore, is not always bad. If the killing is done by Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee or in great sacrifices, it is for the benefit of the entity killed in that way. Material so-called non-violence is very insignificant in comparison to killing done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees. Even when a king or the state government kills a person who is a murderer, that killing is for the benefit of the murderer, for thus he may become cleared of all sinful ways.
Yeah. So, violence is recommended. In Gita also, Lord Krishna inspired Arjuna to commit violence, to fight, right? So, in third canto also it comes, when Arjuna was fighting the arrows, so just by the touch of the arrows, the Kauravas, they were getting purified. And when they were leaving their bodies, seeing the face of Lord Krishna, they are going back to the Vaikuntha. So this is the power of devotees fighting and lords killing. That. Okay. Tanhanyamanan abhivikshya guhyakan anagasaschitra rathena bhurisha autan padayam kripaya pitamaho mano jagotpudgata sahastra nishibi.
When Swayambhu Manu saw that his grandson Dhruv Maharaj was killing so many of the yakshas who were not actually offenders, out of his great compassion, he approached Dhruva with great sages to give him good instruction.
Yeah. So this is a great fortune of a devotee if he has a devotee in his life who can correct him. It's a great fortune. Dhruva was a Mahatma. He had a darshan of the Lord. Okay. But this is a very good teaching, Lord, like Prabhupada says, the mother-in-law teaches his daughter-in-law by, scolding his own daughter. Similarly, the Lord makes such characters as a medium to give us the teachings. Okay. We may be very advanced in Krishna consciousness, but sometimes we may also get overwhelmed by modes of passion, ati rosham. So, but Dhruva Maharaj was very fortunate that he had Manu to come there at the right moment and correct him. Okay. So we should also have some devotees who can always come. They were always feel free to correct us. Right. Okay. So now he corrected him. Please read. Purport, please.
Dhruv Maharaj attacked Kankapuri, the city of the yakshas, because his brother was killed by one of them. Actually, only one of the citizens, not all of them, was guilty of killing his brother, Uttama. Dhruv Maharaj, of course, took a very serious step when his brother was killed by the yakshas. War was declared and the fighting was going on. This sometimes happens in present days also. For one man's fault, a whole state is sometimes attacked. This kind of wholesale attack is not approved by Manu, the father and lawgiver of the human race. He therefore wanted to stop his grandson Dhruva from continuing to kill the Yaksha citizens who are not offenders.
Yeah. Any other instance where such kind of disproportionate killing was being taken out of revenge? Daksha Yagya. Yeah, Daksha Yagya. Both Nandi and Bhrigu, they were cursing the whole community. All the followers of Shiva will be like this. All the followers of the Brahmanas will be like this. So just by due to the fault of one person, they were blaming the whole community. So that is not good. That's a good example. Any other example? When the Parikshit Maharaj was cursed by Shringi, okay. So Parikshit Maharaj did not curse whole Brahman community. In fact, he took shelter of another Brahman, Sukdev Goswami. But his son Janmajay, he took revenge. He performed a sacrifice where all the snakes were, forced to come and he was killing them. So this was not tolerated by Brahaspati. So Brahaspati came and stopped him. Okay. So sometimes this kind of over anger, ati rosh. It's not good.
Parashuram killed Kshatriyas, all Kshatriyas.
Parashuram killed all the Kshatriyas 21 times. That way, yeah. Okay, now Manu will be giving very nice advices, okay, for not killing yakshas. Okay. Manu uvacha alam vatsa ati roshena tamo dvarena papmana yena punya janane tan avadhistvam anagasa. Yeah, please.
Lord Manu said, my dear son, please stop. It is not good to become unnecessarily angry. It is a path to hellish life. Now you are going beyond the limit by killing the yakshas. That will not open doors.
Yes, alam, it is enough. Vatsa, my dear boy, it is enough. Ati roshena, this is excessive anger. Okay, so anger has to be moderated. Arjuna was not getting angry, because that was also his sense gratification. And Dhruva was getting overly angry, his own purpose. So the both way it has to be moderated. Krishna told him to get angry, and here Manu is saying, no, it is ati rosh. It will lead you to tamodvaran, papmana. Okay, purport please.
In this verse, the word Ati Roshena means with unnecessary anger. When Dhruva Maharaj went beyond the limits of necessary anger, his grandfather Swayambhu immediately came to protect him from further sinful action. From this we can understand that killing is not bad, but when killing is done unnecessarily or when an offenseless person is killed, such killing opens the path to hell. Dhruva Maharaj was saved from such sinful action because he was afraid of it. A Kshatriya is allowed to kill only for maintenance of the law and honor of his state. He is not allowed to kill or commit violence without reason. Violence is a clear path leading to a hellish condition of life, but it is also required for maintenance of the law and honor of his state. Here Lord Manu prohibited Dhruva Maharaj from killing the yakshas because only one of them was punishable for killing his brother Uttama. Not all the yaksha citizens were punishable. We find in modern warfare, however, that attacks are made upon innocent citizens who are without fault. According to the law of Manu, such warfare is a most sinful activity. Furthermore, at the present moment, civilized nations are unnecessarily building many slaughterhouses for killing innocent animals. When a nation is attacked by its enemies, the wholesale slaughter of the citizens should be taken as a reaction to their own sinful activities. That is nature's law.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So this is the first argument he gives, that it is ati roshena. It's not justified. Okay. Next verse. Na asmat kul uchitam tat karme upadevanam arabastet krite nisam.
My dear son, the killing of sinless yakshas which you have undertaken is not at all approved by authorities, and it does not befit our family, which is supposed to know the laws of religion and irreligion.
Yeah, okay. Number one, it is not approved by authorities, and two, it is not befit our family. So what are you doing? Third, next.
Son, it has been proved that you are very much affectionate towards your brother and are greatly aggrieved at his being killed by the yakshas. But just consider, for one yaksha's offense you have killed many others who
Yes.
are innocent.
Yeah. Okay. Nayam margo hi sadhunam rishikeshanuvartinam yadatmanam paragrahya pashuvad bhuta vaishisham.
One should not accept the body as a self and thus, like the animals, kill the bodies of others. This is specially forbidden by the saintly person who follows the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So, purport please.
The words sadhunam, risikeshanuvartinam are very significant. Sadhu means a saintly person, but who is saintly person? A saintly person is he who follows the path of rendering service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishikesha. In the Narad Pancharatra, it is said, Rishikesha, Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevana, Bhakti Uchati. The process of rendering favorable service
who is already engaged in the service of the Lord, engage himself in personal sense gratification. Dhruv Maharaj is advised here by the Lord Manu that he is a pure servitor of the Lord. Why should he unnecessarily engage like the animals in the bodily concept of life?
Yeah, okay. So we all are, in effect, we all are Rishikesh Anuvartinam. We all are trying to be sadhus, Rishikesh Anuvartinam, followers of Lord Krishna. So we should be also very careful of our behavior, that it should not bring any, it should not damage the reputation of our Guru Parampara, our disciplic succession. It should not bring any damage to our family of, spiritual family. So we should be very careful about that. Okay. Sarvabhutatma bhavena bhutavasam harim bhavan aradhyapya duradhyam Vishnu tatparamam padam.
It is very difficult to achieve the spiritual abode of Hari in the Vaikuntha planet, but you are so fortunate that you are already destined to go to that abode by worshipping him as the supreme abode of all living entities.
So it is, somewhere is encouraging, and again, no, don't do that, again encouraging, don't do that. It's a very good way of giving corrections. What are you doing? You are from such a good family. Like Arjuna, like Krishna also was saying to Arjuna, no? Hey Bharat, hey Parth, what are you doing? You are from such a good family. This doesn't befit you. No? That way also. Translation, Mataji, you read, no? Yeah. Purport? Yeah.
The material bodies of all living entities cannot exist unless sheltered by the spirit soul and the super soul. The spirit soul is independent on the
So dependent.
on the super soul, who is present within the atom. Therefore, since anything material or spiritual is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is referred to here as Bhutva Vasa. Dhruva Maharaj, as a Kshatriya, could have argued with his grandfather, Manu, when Manu requested him to stop fighting. But even though Dhruva could have argued that as a Kshatriya it was his duty to fight with the enemy, he was informed that since every living entity is a residence of the Supreme Lord and can be considered a temple of the Lord, the unnecessary killing of any living entity is not permitted.
Yeah. Okay. Satvam harer anudhyastas tat punsam api sammata katham tvau avadyam kritvan anushikshan satam vritam. Padhiye Prabhuji.
Because you are a pure devotee of the Lord is always thinking of you, and you are also recognized by all his confidential devotees. Your life is meant for exemplary behavior. I am therefore surprised. Why have you undertaken such an abominable task?
Yeah. Okay. So he's reminding of his glories. Satvam harer anudhyat. You are such a person that Hari is always remembering you. Tat punsam api sammata. The big authorities, they recognize you. Katham tum avadhyam kritvan. Then why are you performing such kind of things? Why are you setting a bad example? Okay. Yes. Titiksha karunaya maitreya cha akhila jantushu samatvena cha sarvatma bhagavan samprasidati. Yes.
The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotees greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship and equality.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone is a servant of the Lord, part and parcel of the Lord. You should be merciful. Samprasanne bhagavati purusha prakriter gunam vimukto jiva nirmukto brahma nirvanam richati.
One who actually satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead during one's lifetime becomes liberated from the gross and subtle material conditions. Thus, being freed from all material modes of nature, he achieves unlimited spiritual bliss.
Yeah. Okay. So, purport, please.
Purport. In the previous verse, it has been explained that one should treat all living entities with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. By such behavior, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and upon his satisfaction, the devotee immediately becomes free from all material conditions. The Lord also confirmed this in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who sincerely and seriously engages in my service immediately becomes situated in the transcendental stage, wherein he can enjoy unlimited spiritual bliss. Everyone in this material world is struggling hard in order to achieve blissful life. Unfortunately, people do not know how to achieve it. Atheists do not believe in God, and certainly they do not please Him. Here it is clearly said that upon pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one immediately attains to the spiritual platform and enjoys unlimited blissful life. To become free from material existence means to become free from the influence of material nature. The word samprasanne, which is used in this verse, means being satisfied. A person should act in such a way that the Lord is satisfied by the activity. It is not that he himself is to be satisfied. Of course, when the Lord is satisfied, the devotee automatically becomes satisfied. This is the secret of the process of Bhakti Yoga. Outside of Bhakti Yoga, everyone is trying to satisfy himself. No one is trying to satisfy the Lord. Karmis grossly try to satisfy their senses, but even those who are elevated to the platform of knowledge also try to satisfy themselves in a subtle form. Karmis try to satisfy themselves by sense gratification, and Jnanis try to satisfy themselves by subtle activities or mental speculation and thinking themselves to be God. Yogis also try to satisfy themselves by thinking that they can achieve different mystic perfections. But only devotees try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee's process of self realization is completely different from the process of the karmis, jnanis, and yogis. Everyone else is trying to satisfy himself, whereas the devotee tries only to satisfy the Lord. The devotional process is completely different from the others. By working to please the Lord, by engaging his senses in the Lord's service, in the Lord's loving service, the devotee is immediately situated on the transcendental platform and he enjoys unlimited blissful life.
Joy. Okay. So there are different reasons Swayambhu Manu gave, but still Dhruv Maharaj was not satisfied. He was still angry. Okay. So we can have a break for 15 minutes and then we'll see.
One question. Like Dhruv Maharaj, you said that he came out of duty to kill, and then the fight started, and he was only attacking those who were attacking in return. The Yakshas attacked, and then he was attacking. So how is he killing innocent? Because they are also attacking him. So is it like he is in fault because he did not go for diplomacy before? Should have asked that you send the person.
There could have been other ways also. He was
Diplomacy,
over angry and just started shooting arrows 3 at a time. He was doing that.
he started war.
Starting the war directly. They could have called for the person who is responsible. He could have sent his police.
Because it appears that those who are getting killed are also being promoted very high. And
Yes.
Dharma Yudh is going on.
Okay, so we'll have a break for 10-15 minutes.